My mom, 46 years old, me, 18 years old, and my brother, 27 years old, got into a scuffle about 3 months ago that ended very violently. So for reference, my brother lives with me and my mom and is known for bringing women to my mother's house and being a nymphomaniac. My brother and I had an okay relationship. He would get violent sometimes, like throwing dirt in my face, trying to break down my door, or calling me profanity sometimes. And I would always forgive him. He never said sorry for any of these instances. Sometime in September 2023, I had stayed home from school and was in my room. My brother didn't know I was home and brought a woman home and was very loud, which made me uncomfortable. So I went to the kitchen to make noise so he would know I was home. The noise stopped and then continued. So I was clearly uncomfortable with him and his presence for a while and stopped talking to him. After about 2 months of no contact, I went on a Christmas trip for a week. When I came back, he was extremely hostile and would yell at me for eating any food that he bought. I just came back from my trip, so I didn't know what food was his or my mom's. There was a deal that my mom made with him, that if she bought groceries, he could eat them, and I could eat his, and we all would share. But for some reason, he would constantly yell and snatch food from me that he thought was his. After this, my mom started buying groceries, but she wouldn't tell him not to eat mine, just that he already had his own food. One day, my mom and I were cleaning the kitchen and washing my brother's dishes. I told her it wasn't fair to her that she was washing a 27-year-old man's dishes, and she said it's her business. She picked up a banana, and I said that my brother was going to get mad at her. Like clockwork, my mom and I heard him get out of his room, it's near the kitchen, and just stand there and look at us. My mom said, "Are you here to take your food from me?" And he said no, and then I chimed in, saying that he eats everyone else's food anyways, because he does. And he started getting in my face and started threatening me, saying, "Touch my food and see what happens." So I said if he touches me, I'll call the police. And for some reason, that triggered him. And he walked into his room and grabbed a belt and tried to hit me. He said, "I'll give you a reason to call the police." My mom diffused the situation, but said the whole entirety of it is my fault for instigating it, and I was wrong to say I would call the police on my own blood. My relationship with my mom and brother has been tense. I still talk to my mom because I'm still in her house and I'm in high school. She keeps telling me to repair my relationship with my brother, but I am tired of forgiving when I don't even get an apology. Is there any point in doing so? And is my mom seeing something that I'm not about this situation? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Do you have any friends you can stay with? You might want to consider talking to your school's guidance counselor about this. They might have some resources for you. They are mandatory reporters, so they would have to alert authorities if you tell them about the abuse. It's ultimately up to you how much you want to disclose. You don't have to disclose everything. They might still be able to help you. You shouldn't have to worry about this. Many other girls your age are busy cramming for finals, eagerly waiting for summer break before going off to college. That's what you should be doing too. And here you are scared and miserable in your own home. It's horrible, comment 2. Now you know you can't trust your mom to protect you. She will continue to enable your hurtful piece of shoot bus, brother, even when your safety is at risk. She is a failure of a parent. Unfortunately, you are 18 years old now and no longer under the protection of the Child Protective Services CPS. Of course, if another incident happens, I'd urge you to call 911 and reach out for help, no matter what your mom says. Your life could depend on it. I am sorry. You are too young for this, but you have to grow up fast. You need to get out of this situation. So graduate high school and work on becoming independent so you can get out of this toxic situation. Your brother is a danger. Avoid him as much as possible. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for the latest. Well, things escalated quickly after the last mess. My brother's been on a rampage, acting like he owns the place. Mom's been trying to keep the peace, but it's like she's walking on a tightrope. She's been buying groceries separately for us. But my brother, he just doesn't care. He eats whatever he wants, whenever he wants. One evening, I caught him red-handed eating my leftovers. I confronted him and he just laughed in my face. Said something about how everything under this roof is his. I lost it, told him he's nothing but a freeloader. That's when he shoved me against the fridge Mom heard the commotion and rushed in. She tried to mediate, but my brother wasn't having it. He stormed out, slamming the door so hard, a picture frame fell and shattered. A few days later, I found out he'd been using my name to chat up girls online. When I confronted him, he shrugged it off and said it was just a bit of fun. But it wasn't fun for me. I had girls messaging me, calling me out for things I never said. It was humiliating. Then, the surprise dropped. One of the girls he'd been talking to showed up at our door, pregnant. Said my brother promised to take care of her. He denied everything, of course. Mom was beside herself. Didn't know who to believe. I wanted to help the girl, but I was also furious at my brother for dragging us into his mess. Mom decided to take the girl in, said it was the right thing to do. My brother was livid, said we were all against him. He packed his bags and left. Mom cried for days, said we should have done more to understand him. I didn't see it that way. I was just relieved he was gone. But the peace didn't last long. A couple of weeks later, my brother came back, tail between his legs. The girl had lost the baby. It was a tough time for everyone. Mom took him back in, no questions asked. I couldn't believe it. After everything, she just let him walk back into our lives. I've been keeping my distance, focusing on school. Mom keeps nudging me to talk to him, but I can't. I don't even recognize him as my brother anymore. It's like we're strangers living under the same roof. And now I've been accepted to a college out of state. It's my ticket out of this chaos. Mom's happy for me, but I can tell she's worried about being left alone with him. I feel guilty for leaving her, but I need to get out, start fresh. So, that's where we're at. A house full of tension, a brother I can't stand, and a future that's just within my grasp. Thanks for reading. Aita for pointing out my roommate's dog might be sick and getting accused of overreacting. My 36-year-old female, roommate's 28-year-old male, dog 8, 10-year-old female, is an active sleeper with those cute muffled barks and leg twitches. I know this. I have known the dog for about 5 years. I have known my roommate for about 7 years. Today she was sleeping and her legs started trembling and twitching in a rapid, repetitive manner, quicker and more dramatically than usual. I used to have an epileptic dog and have worked as a vet tech assistant, so I have seen plenty of dog seizures. That is what this looked like, just more mild. The dog has also been showing strange behavior around dinner time for a few days, eating only half her food, which I alerted him to yesterday. So when she started trembling, I connected the issues in my head and thought, maybe she has eaten something toxic or is having some sort of medical episode. He was working from home, sitting nearish to me with the dog in between us. I said partly to myself, just thinking out loud, partly to him, is she just dreaming or is she having an issue? He barely glanced up and said, she is just dreaming. I can't remember what I said, but it was something along the lines of, are you sure? In a concerned but relatively collected and quiet tone, and I began to get up to check on her. He leapt up in a panic to check on her and shook her awake before I had a chance to go around and look at her. She was just sleeping. He immediately popped off with a comment about how I need to stop scaring him for no reason. I left the room because his reaction kind of pissed me off, and I didn't want to get in a fight over it. Later, I brought up that I did not bring up the eating thing for no reason. And her weirdness about food has been escalating for a few weeks. And now she is eating a weirdly small portion, which I think is important to note because food issues can be a sign of a real problem. He turned it into a conversation about how I alarmed him. We went back and forth a bit. Then he ultimately said that the way I addressed the issue was something along the lines of inconsiderate and reckless, the actual word he used, is on the tip of my tongue. I feel that take is a bit extreme, given that I was only showing concern for his pet. And all this happened in a matter of seconds, which at the time, I thought might be an emergency. I feel like speaking up when you are perceiving a potential emergency is a normal thing that people do. The way he sees it, that is going over the line and disruptive of his work and mental well-being, and I just don't get it. Which of us is being unreasonable here? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I think you simply commented on something you thought could be wrong as an indication to check it out. I don't see anything wrong with that. If instead you had said, pick up the dog, let's rush to the vets, she's having a seizure, then sure, I'd agree with that statement. Comment 2. Not your job to figure out what's wrong with the dog, and you were right to warn him immediately. You did the right thing. Sounds like your roommate is just a jerk, lol. Now, for the update, thanks for sticking around for the latest. So, the tension with my roommate has been thick enough to cut with a knife since the whole dog scare. I've been walking on eggshells, trying not to set him off, but things just got worse. A couple of days ago, I came home to find his dog, let's call her Paws, looking really out of it. She was just lying there, not even getting up to greet me, which is totally not like her. I told my roommate right away, and this time, he actually listened. We rushed Paws to the vet, and turns out she had a serious stomach issue from something she ate. It was a close call, but she's on the mend now. The vet visit brought up some old memories for me. I used to volunteer at an animal shelter back in high school. Saw a lot of pets come in with all sorts of problems. It's where I learned to spot the signs when an animal isn't feeling well. I guess that's why I've been so on edge about Paws. It's like a gut feeling I can't shake. Anyway, my roommate, he's been acting weird ever since the vet said Paws would be okay. He's been quiet, not his usual chatty self, and I couldn't figure out why. I thought maybe he was just stressed about the vet bills or something. But last night, things came to a head in a way I never saw coming. We were sitting in the living room, Paws curled up on the couch between us, finally looking a bit more like herself. Out of nowhere, my roommate turns to me and says, "I owe you an apology." I was taken aback. He went on to explain that he's been feeling guilty about how he reacted that day, when I thought Paws was having a seizure. Said he was ashamed for not taking me seriously, and that he was scared he'd lose Paws because of his own negligence. I didn't know what to say. I mean, I was mad at him for brushing me off, but hearing him admit he was wrong and that he was scared, it changed something. I told him it was okay, that we both just want what's best for Paws. We ended up talking for hours about everything, our past, our fears, even why he's been so on edge about work lately. Turns out, he's been under a ton of pressure from his boss, and he's been worried about losing his job. It's why he's been so snappy. The real kicker came when he told me he's been thinking about moving back home to help his family. His mom's been sick, and he feels like he needs to be there for her. I never knew any of this. It's like I've been living with a stranger. I guess we all have stuff we're dealing with that we don't always talk about. So we made a pact. We're going to be more open with each other, no more bottling things up. And we're going to take better care of Paws together. It's funny how it took a scare to bring all these hidden feelings to the surface, but I'm glad it did. It feels like we're finally getting to know each other for real. Thanks for reading. Aita for not wanting to marry my girlfriend. After she criticizes everything I do and her sister blames me for their problems. I'm 25 years old male. My girlfriend is 23 years old female. We have been together for nearly 5 years. Recently, I engaged her. But to be honest, I wasn't even sure if I wanted marriage. Firstly, and I think importantly, I always feel like I'm doing something wrong. Saying the wrong thing or doing something that doesn't completely go the way she wants it to. And I feel like she always calls me out on it. Just recently, she said she wanted me to go out and pick up something from the store and get her some food. She told me what she wanted, and I got exactly that, and got myself something too. I got home. She complained that I only got her what she wanted, so I proposed that she could eat some of mine. She did. Then she said she had enough and went back to eating her food. Her food was a bowl of soup with seaweed in it, but due to the lack of soup, she complained it looks like a pile of hair. So I made a joke and said, "Is it your hair?" She got angry at me because that ended the life of her mood, and she didn't want to eat it anymore. So I said I could go out and get something else. She said no, she's not hungry, but was just angry that I made that joke. She always tells me that I could handle or say things in a different way. But sometimes I slip up, like in the story above. And we always end up arguing, or I just take the heat. I feel like I'm always revolving my life around hers. Just a few days back, she went clubbing. She knew I had to wake up for work at 7 a.m. So she said she would Uber home. I laid in bed, but I just couldn't sleep. It got to 2 a.m. She texted me to pick her up, so I did. I picked her and her friend and drove back home. They said they wanted some McDonald's. I drove to the nearest one, and unfortunately they were closed while they updated the tills. At this point, they said for me to drive to the other one, I refused in the end since it was 2:30 a.m. She then, in her drunken state, started talking about something which I've forgotten now. But I'm sure it was for me to do something, to which I replied, "It's 2:30 a.m." And she got annoyed at me for saying that and said, "Is that all you can think about?" On top of this, she's barely been making any income during our relationship. Whenever she does find a job, she can't keep it for long due to various reasons. She's also supposed to have graduated from university last year, but she's just not doing any work and deferring her studying, despite me fully supporting her financially. I do love her, I want to continue our relationship, but at the stage where it is now, I don't want marriage. I feel like my life will get worse if I do. But I'm pretty bad at communication, and I don't know how to say these things to her without her retaliating and making it seem like my fault again. Sorry for the long post, but it's been sitting with me for so long, and I needed to let it out. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Sounds like you two are totally different people and have different lifestyles. It also sounds like you're being nice trying to make jokes, but she just gets mad, which isn't right. Think wisely about marriage because divorce can get messy. You shouldn't have to cater to her needs because it sounds like you'll do anything for her. Get her food, she complains. Makes you drive her everywhere at 2 a.m. I would never treat my boyfriend like that. Comment 2. I am a female, and I can tell you right now, she is using you, and you're being a doormat. You do everything she says, and you let her control you. Stop giving in to what she wants and see what happens. LOL. She'll throw a huge tantrum instead of being understanding. If you tell her, "Sorry, I am just not feeling well right now," or if she wants to go somewhere, "Sorry, you can drive yourself or have your friend pick you up." Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around after my last post. So, a lot has happened this past week. My girlfriend's sister came to stay with us. She's always been the type to stir up trouble, and this time was no different. The day she arrived, she immediately started picking apart our apartment, saying it wasn't good enough for her sister. I tried to keep my cool, but it's hard when someone's constantly criticizing your home. Then, 2 days later, my girlfriend dropped a shocker. She's pregnant. I was shocked. We hadn't planned this, and with the way things have been, it felt like the worst possible timing. Her sister, of course, had something to say about it. She accused me of not being supportive enough and said I should be more excited. I didn't even have time to process my own feelings before I was being attacked. The next day, things got even worse. My girlfriend lost her job. She came home in tears and her sister immediately blamed me, saying it was because I wasn't providing enough emotional support. I couldn't believe it. I've been the one paying for everything, and now I'm being blamed for her losing her job? But that's not all. The following day, my girlfriend's sister convinced her to go out and celebrate the pregnancy to take her mind off things. They came back late and my girlfriend was upset. She said she saw one of my coworkers at the bar, and he was talking about how I'm always complaining about her at work. That's not true. I vented once or twice, but it's not like I'm constantly bad-mouthing her. Now she's furious with me, and her sister is fueling the fire, saying I'm a terrible boyfriend. I tried to talk to my girlfriend about everything to clear the air, but her sister kept interrupting, saying I was trying to manipulate the situation. It's like I can't do anything right. And with the baby on the way, I feel even more trapped. I want to be there for my child, but the thought of dealing with her sister constantly around is overwhelming. To top it all off yesterday, my girlfriend said she wants to move closer to her family now that she's expecting. She thinks it'll be better for the baby to have more family around. I don't know how to tell her that I don't think I can handle being around her family all the time. They're already causing so much stress, and we haven't even moved yet. I'm trying to be supportive and be there for her, but it feels like everything I do just makes things worse. I'm starting to wonder if I'm really cut out for this. But I can't leave. I can't be the guy who walked out on his pregnant girlfriend. So I guess I'm stuck, trying to make the best of a bad situation. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.